Nicolae Ceaușescu ruled Romania with an iron fist for almost a quarter of a century, plunging Romania into darkness, into the cold, and into poverty. But then on the 21st of December 1989, the people rose up whilst he was giving a speech in Revolution Square, and he was forced to flee. He was then executed on Christmas Day a few days later, along with his wife. So I'm tracing his last few steps up until that speech, and also to show you a couple of his, well, ego projects along the way until we reach Revolution Square. So let's do this. On we go. We are in Bucharest, Romania. I tell you what, if there's one thing the Central and Eastern Europeans love, they love a bloody good car horn. You can't take that away from them. They're thinking you've put the car horn in the hole, You've put the car horn in the car, and we're going to bloody use it. And I don't blame them. It's what it's there for. Lots of traffic today in Bucharest. Okay, first place I'm going to take you to is a boulevard called Boulevard Iuridii. And the point of Boulevard Iuridii was built by Ceaușescu after a 1977 earthquake. And it was to prove that Romania could stand on its own 2 feet. The problem was, many people were displaced as a result. So we're going to walk down this boulevard, show you the fountains, show you the palace that he built, his ego project for communist Romania. He would have been so proud, Ceaușescu. The golden arches on top of a massive shopping centre. You've got to love it. You know, it doesn't matter if you're Hitler, it doesn't matter if you're Stalin, it doesn't matter if you're Obama or Trump or whoever. Whichever leader, however strong they are, the golden arches, they follow you around, baby. God, this woman's brave. You know. Jeez Louise. Chill out. So this fountain system is part of Ceaușescu's Boulevard master plan to make it look like almost like a Paris type Champs-Élysées boulevard, but a bit more grey, a bit more miserable, a bit more communist. But many people were displaced, homes were destroyed to build this project. And this fountain system is now all computerised, but the whole system stretches for about 1 kilometre. So it's sad to think that all these people were displaced, but I have to say what they have done with it, they've done a bloody good job. All the architecture around here, all the different types of buildings. Oh, very nice. Vegas much? Vegas much? I think so. Vegas vibes. Even though I've never been. Anyway, we're going to walk down to the Palace of the Parliament now to show you something truly spectacular in terms of grandeur, in terms of size, and in terms of one of Ceaușescu's ego projects, I guess. So, let's go. Okay, before we go to the Palace of the Parliament, who was Nicolae Ceaușescu? Well, he was born in 1918 to a poor peasant family in a small village called Scornicești. I'm sure I'm butchering that. At age 14, he did what every teenager does. He joined the Communist Party. And it was then that he was involved in lots of political activism and activity, and he was put in prison many times. One of those times he met the future leader of Romania, who he became good friends with, and it was during this time in prison that he managed to network and managed to surround himself with like-minded people. After the Second World War had finished, he began setting up the almost Stalinist regime in Romania, and became very close friends with the leader and the people around him. I will put the name of the leader on the screen. Can't keep butchering names, can I? And then, in 1965, when the former leader died, he became General Secretary of the party, which was basically the top position in the party. But it wasn't centralised. It was centralised slowly, bit by bit, more by more, until it became all about him and his desires and his wants. And then, in 1974, he crowned himself President of Romania. Was there a President of Romania position before? No. He created it. And so him and his wife's ego trip began. This boulevard is part of that. And when Ceaușescu was in power, the West actually favoured him, or certainly didn't look down on him as much as other communist dictators, because he criticised the Soviets for their invasion of Czechoslovakia. So I think people thought, maybe this guy's not so bad. Yeah, all right. And so this is it, Palace of the Parliament. The second or third, depending on what source, largest administrative building in the world. And it is absolutely ginormous. I cannot convey to you how big this is. It's huge. And so in the 1980s, Ceaușescu had this ordered to be built, one of his ego projects, to make Bucharest into a communist utopia. Unfortunately, it meant that churches, homes, and even cemeteries were removed, as well as 40,000 people removed from this area so that he could build this. One more fun fact about this place, well, I don't know if it's fun, it's a fact. There's still over 1,000 rooms not used in it. So if you're ever talking to some stuck-up twat in England going, oh, I live in an 8-bedroom house and it's got this. Yeah, really? Do you live in a fucking building where 1,000 rooms are still not used? Because I haven't got enough fucking people to fill them all. I mean, look at this place. Okay, I've just come around the other side of the house, which the public are allowed into, just to give you an idea of the scale of this thing. Wow. Imagine for a second you're sitting in your country and you're starving, you're freezing, and you don't have any money, and yet your leader is building palaces and giving fake degrees to his wife. Well, that's what Ceaușescu did. And we'll talk about some of the policies he implemented. He rationed food, he rationed water, he rationed electricity, all to pay off debt that he owed to other countries at the expense of his own citizens. In order to boost the population, he made abortion illegal and he made contraception illegal. He would destroy villages and rural communities, getting rid of them, displacing the inhabitants and building horrible, ugly looking communist-like grey towers. And with all that, he tried to get people from the villages to live in the towns. And he also had a mass surveillance program to keep track of any distance and to get the general feel of the mood. Is something that many of these authoritarian regimes have, whether it's Soviets or the Nazis. They send out secret police to get an idea and capture the nation's mood. They didn't capture it correctly, because as we're about to find out as we head to Revolution Square, the regime came unravelling in front of Ceaușescu's eyes, which he wasn't expecting. And the idea was to keep the young generations brainwashed. They would have pictures of Ceaușescu everywhere and his name everywhere. even to the point where school children had to read poems about Ceaușescu. And as I say that, we have entered Revolution Square. And there's a monument to the people, not to him. Behind me is the very balcony, I should say, that Ceaușescu gave his last final speech. He didn't know it was going to be his final speech. When he appeared on the balcony behind me, he expected to be greeted with the usual cheers and the usual praise for him. He was used to that. But this time, the people had had enough. After almost a quarter of a century of rule, Ceaușescu's regime came crumbling down in front of him. The original protest started because they tried to evict a dissident pastor. This happened in a place called Timișoara, butchering that probably. And that's what sparked the protest, because the police went in, shots were fired, and there was lots of anger. First, he was really confused. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know what the people were doing when they started booing. He started shouting to the microphone, "Hello, hello." It was only then, as the boos got louder and the crowd got more violent, they started clashing with security forces, that he realised he was in trouble. Just going a bit closer to the balcony. It's always, you know, when you go somewhere like this historical, whether it's where a revolution happened or someone was assassinated or anything like that, sometimes you just stand and wonder and you try and wrap your head around the fact that this really did happen, and in this case not that long ago. The balcony, Ceaușescu's final speech. Well, the next day, on the 22nd of December 1989, with Ceaușescu and his wife hiding there, unfortunately, over the night, over 1,000 Romanian people died. Something that I don't think gets talked about enough. 1,000 Romanians killed, and they were still outside trying to storm the building. And it was then that Ceaușescu and his wife fled from that rooftop by helicopter. And so once the Ceaușescu regime had fallen, it was up to images of other egomaniacs to fill the streets of Bucharest. Because I'm in communist heartland, Ceaușescu crying. The poor Romanian people, it's just one horror show after another. Just joking, Justin, if you're watching this, of course you are. Just a little joke. Just make sure you subscribe. So, it's mad to think really, that within 4 days, a man who thought he had total control, total grip on his country, was about to give what he thought was just another speech in front of the people he assumed loved him and praised him and worshipped him, had turned on him, and within 4 days he went from being absolute dictator to being executed. On Christmas Day 1989, after a show trial of only 50 minutes, Nicolae Ceaușescu and his wife were assassinated. Romania was free. Now, as some of you will know, in fact none of you will know unless you know me who's watching this, in which case hello. I do like my history, and the plan today was to do the 6-hour round trip to where Ceaușescu and his wife were assassinated. Unfortunately, the public transport has screwed up, which I'm told reliably that never happens. We'll finish it here. What better place to end it anyway than at Revolution Square, where the people stood up, fought back, and ended this horrendous regime.